What's up, Lantern fans? It's the Emerald Enthusiast, the co-host of the Emerald Echo podcast. Here with a look at the DC Direct Green Lantern Series 1 figure of Kilowog. Let's start by looking at the packaging. As you can see, it's a basic bubble-on card. On the top front, here is the stylized Green Lantern lettering. It says Series 1, and here are headshots of the other figures available in this wave. This figure wave came out over 15 years ago, and the back top reflects the time period. It says, DC Direct introduces a new series of action figures, following up the excitement of the triumphant return of Hal Jordan to the role of Green Lantern. DC Direct brings you this new Green Lantern action figure line. And as you can see, the back also has a nice shot of the other figures available in this wave. On the back, we get brief bios of Hal Jordan as Parallax, Hal Jordan as Green Lantern, Black Hand, Kilowog, and two of the Guardians, one of whom is specified as Ganthet. If you'd like to read these, go ahead and pause the video and do so now. But I think it's time to bust this figure out of the package and see what's inside. Here's the figure removed from the outer carding, but still in the inner plastic. We get this Green Lantern symbol base included with the figure. And here we have the last survivor of Balavax Vic out of the package and ready to rumble. There is a great deal to like about this figure, although I do have a couple of criticisms. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the details of this figure now. So here is the Green Lantern symbol peg base, and I just adored these when these DC Direct figures were coming out. I've purchased many extras of these for other figures, and as you can see, this one is nice and clean, no paint marks. Here is the peg, and on this figure, here is the porthole for this peg. However, I will say that in the past, I've actually broken some of these pegs by trying to put a figure on it, and it just kind of pushes through the base and comes loose. So I'm not going to do that with this figure, but I don't have any problem with this figure standing on the base securely. So the figure also comes with this personal power battery, and I really like the fact that this accessory scales well with the size of the figure. You know, it's a big battery for a big character. And I have found that the easiest way to get the battery in the hand of not only this figure, but some of the other Lantern figures is to take the handle out. And this is not breaking the personal power battery. A lot of these come out very easily. And you can just slide it into the hand of the figure. And then reattach it to the battery part itself without any problems. So I think you actually minimize the chances of scratching the figure or the accessory by doing it this way. So let's look at the lower body here, and overall I think this is exquisitely done. The molding is just outstanding. You can see all the details in the quadriceps here, and they're just massive. You know, Kilowog is a huge character. He's very blocky and just, you know, bursting with muscle, and you can see that reflected here. Not only the quadriceps, you can see that here in the calf muscles. Although I must say, I think when you look at just how massive the quads and the upper body of this figure are, maybe the calf muscles and the feet are slightly undersized. So that's not a huge criticism, but when you see this figure close up, I think you can tell that maybe the feet should have been slightly bigger. In terms of the feet, at the ankle here, you get this peg joint, so you do get movement there. It's not an abundance of movement because the figure is so blocky that the feet kind of hit other areas of the calf, so you don't get too much articulation there. You get a peg at the knee here. Movement's pretty good, I will say that. Also here at the hip, you can get the knee to go pretty far forward. I think that's pretty impressive. And also, you can get the legs to go pretty far back. So that is pretty impressive for the time period. Although I must say, and I'll elaborate on this further, Articulating old DC Direct figures is a little bit of a gamble. There are lots of reports of the pegs kind of breaking and obviously the figure breaking too. So I would be very careful. Although in this case, because Kilowog is such a massive figure and these pegs are bigger than the other figures, I really didn't worry too much about that in this case. Let's have a look at the torso. And in terms of aesthetics, I think it is perfect. In terms of articulation, it leaves something to be desired. So in terms of articulation, there really isn't any in the torso itself. As you can see, there's no swiveling here in the lower torso. There's no crunching in the upper torso. But in terms of molding and paint applications, I think it just looks outstanding. You can see all the abdominals here, the individual abdominals, the ribs and the obliques right here, all sculpted very well. You can see the definition there in the pectorals. And the Green Lantern logo, it's not raised, but it's a separate piece. You can actually feel the edges of it. And so I certainly appreciate that. Paint application is nice and tight, and it just looks really good. It's the correct size, so I certainly appreciate that. On the back here, lots of good molding on the trapezius and the latissimus dorsi back here. Just outstanding definition. I really like the way that looks. So I do wish that the articulation was a little better, but overall I'm pleased with the way the torso looks. So let's have a look at the arms, and I really like the way the gloves are done. They're yellowing just slightly because the figure, again, is over 15 years old, but it still looks really good at this point. I like all the sculpted in wrinkles that you get here. You can see the knuckles here. You get movement at the wrist, and that's something that's always appreciated in a Green Lantern figure. You get a peg here at the elbow, and it goes as far as the biceps will allow it. It's a massive bicep, so you can't really get this figure's arm to like fold up tightly, but that's okay. I mean, that's kind of what you expect with a figure that is this massive. You do get 360 degrees of rotation here. The arm goes out about that far. I wouldn't push it out, but I think that's a really good amount of articulation for the shoulder. Same thing over here. You can get the wrist to move, and that's good if you want to put the personal power battery in the figure's hand like so. Appreciate that. Now let's have a look at the ring here. As you can see here, this ring is just exquisite. The paint applications are very tight. You can see the Green Lantern logo. It's actually raised. It looks like something that's been slid over his finger as opposed to just paint. Very well done, although to be fair, this is a much larger area that they were working with than most Green Lantern figures. In terms of the head sculpt, I like it. I don't love it. There are things I wish were different. In terms of what I like all of these sculpted in wrinkles, those look really good. Here along the neck area, on the face. The overall sculpting of the head, I think, looks really good. I like how it sits on the neck joint. I do think that looks good. I like the mouth a lot. The nose looks really good. The eyes, the sculpting of the sockets isn't bad. I'll say that. I don't like the all red eyes. I do wish that he had pupils that would have made the face more expressive. Now, in terms of articulation, you can get the head to go side to side, and that's pretty much it. You can't get any movement up or down, and you may be able to get the head sculpt to go all the way around, but when I do it, I feel like right about here, it's starting to have a situation where plastic is grinding against plastic. So I certainly don't want to break this figure, especially since it's difficult to find now, especially at a good price. So I'm just going to leave it like that. Overall, again, not a bad head sculpt. I certainly hope you have enjoyed this review. If so, please like, subscribe, and tell a friend about this channel. Stay tuned at the end of the video for some articulation shots, and also remember to catch me on the Multiverse Musics vidcast, available right here on YouTube, which includes the Emerald Echo podcast, and that covers all the exploits of your favorite ring slingers, including Kilowog. And I'll be back to the internet with more Green Lantern related content soon. But until we meet again, this has been the Emerald Enthusiast, and thanks for watching.